Welcome to the Ocean Race Show, where the word is fatigue. Our boats are breaking, our sailors have certainly had a very tough time. It's been an incredible opening few days of leg one. At the end of our last show, we left our sailors in big breeze, big seas, and with plenty to deal with. First up, it was Team Wholesome PRB with rudder problems, and skipper Kevin Escoffier having to go over the stern in the dark.
We noticed that the autopilot was struggling, and checked over the back of the rudder and realised that the quadrant has moved up on the stock of the rudder shaft. So yeah, we'll put the other rudder down as a safety. Super Kevin is currently fixing it.
Viva Mexico were forced to suspend racing on Monday due to a tear in their mainsail. They got the boat and the crew safely to port, and today the word is that they are back on the water, once again heading to Cabo Verde.
When you enter these races, you know that there's going to be very great highs, and there's some lows that you have to come strong from. And we'll be ready to fight. Of course, we have to finish this leg first, but we'll be ready to fight for the next legs.
All this goes to show just how hard the conditions are. We have seen 50 knots sweeping across the fleet, with the sea state absolutely pounding our sailors.
And now this night there's been, I mean, we've had the foil up and down a lot of times. We've sometimes been going like 28 knots. Just now we were upwind, foiling in the worst waves I think I've ever been in.
When you've got a wind acceleration against the mountains, it's not a joke. But it's a good ride as well.
We expected quite a bit of breeze, but basically we always had the strategy when it's getting too strong that we're gonna sail towards the Spanish coast to look for a little bit protection, but no protection at all. The most wind we saw was almost 60 knots.
Any of our rookies that came into this edition of the Ocean Race wanting to gain that experience and be able to call themselves an ocean racer, well, I hope they are still glad about what they've taken on, because certainly all of these sailors here are inexperienced no more. So what does this mean for our sailors? How difficult is it out there to race on the water? Well, we noticed something a little bit funny on the tracker. Just take a look at this. This is Guyot Environment Team Europe, and the path that they left behind them. This is Monday afternoon, and for a while they were actually heading in the wrong direction, all the way back to Alicante. What happens here was the sailors needed to change to their smallest sail as the wind was so high. That meant going up on deck. Well, to achieve that, they had to bear away and head away from the wind, away from the finish line, back to the start. But sailing away from the wind means less breeze blowing across the deck. So it becomes a race to get up to the front of the boat, quickly get the storm jib up and get going again. Also, Team Militia having to do big bear aways in their track every time that they wanted to change the sail. And all the while that you're doing this, you still need to live on board. You still need to cook. You still need to sleep. You need to do, well, everything that comes after that. You need to find a way to get energy into your body. Now, on the Amokas, our teams have got very simple systems. It's just a hot water boiling system. And it's pretty much the same as what we see on the VO65s. Then it's just a case of not burning your hands with the hot water, pouring it into your food to rehydrate it, and then trying to find somewhere comfortable to be to get that food inside you. For the first few days in the legs, a little chance to eat some fresh food, but those chances are not really going to be there on the longer legs. And also, the ride is going to get more and more uncomfortable. Once you've found a place to eat and you've got the food inside you, the next problem is keeping it down.
Seasickness?
Yes. Day number 2.
Going from side to side, it's really hard to see anything. Actually starting to feel a little bit seasick. Never had that before, but we'll see how that turns out.
Lots of wind and lots of tanks in the end, but everyone managed well. No one was seasick, or maybe some were a little bit, but not that they were completely out. So we always had people on deck, and we managed to keep a good position. keep the speed up, keep the boat nice and tidy. So not too bad for 40 knots of upwind sailing for more than a day.
Whether you've managed to cook food, eat it and keep it down inside you, the race continues. And for those sailors who are able to keep their energy levels high, it means that you can fight fiercely against your opponents for the best of the breeze. Take a look here at what happened with Team Holcim PRB, an 11th hour racing team. The Americans, onto the right, leading at the moment, had the skill and the power to put in 2 tacks, sitting on top of Kevin Escoffier and blocking the breeze. But then the French sailor answered straight back. And Kevin Escoffier, Charlie Enright on board 11th hour racing team, just kept upping the challenge. Tack for tack, these 2 teams traded off best positions. Occasionally, got to say that Team Holcim PRB started to come out ahead, maybe gaining a little bit on a few shifts, but each of those tacks just meaning that they pushed ahead. It didn't stop when they got to the straight, and these 2 teams bouncing off the left and the right walls of the racetrack before coming out into the Atlantic Ocean, where I'm sure the fight's going to continue. Not just for our new leaders, Team Holcim PRB, but for all of our sailors, shipping can become a really big issue. Now, both the Imoccas and the VO65s carry an AIS system on board. This is an automatic system that lets boats warn each other if they're getting a little bit too close.
It's a AIS one collision with the boat, but I don't understand.
And we are first.
Yes, the first boat of the fleet passing there. There is plenty before us. And we'll have to work a bit on the main. For me, the only moment to be able to do it, and the port tack, because now we are going to catch a front.
Team Holcim PRB needing to work on their main, but needing daylight really to assess the problem. But interestingly, this was actually something that we'd seen before. Guyot Environment Team Europe also were having problems.
And we have 2 buttons brake, I mean.
Had a good first night, and we were there, and then we've had a kind of series of things happen, but fundamentally now we've had to just really slow down and protect the main, because we discovered that we had 2 broken battens, and we also have a hole in the main. We had to take the decision to slow down, and we're replacing the battens right now, and we're going to replace the hole in a minute, hopefully before it gets dark.
We have just repaired the sail. Yeah, we are happy. Very good job of the team to repair it. So now we have buttons, we have sail, and the boat is coming back at 100%. So never give up, keep pushing, and we'll see you at the end in Cabo Verde.
While the Imoccas are fixing their sails, let's check in with the VO65. Now, on Monday's show, we left the VO65s with Amber Sail 2 heading south, the only boat to do so, as Team Mexico ripped that mainsail and had to head to shore to find out what their options were. Amber Sail 2 held on in the south, and it really became a question of how far Wind Whisperer Racing Team could push their newfound lead from that group up the front as our 6 VO65s became 5. For Rokas Melevinkas and the Lithuanian team, they found plenty of breeze in the middle of the Med, but with it they tore their J2, they ripped off their AIS antenna, and they damaged their electronics. So as the fleets came back together, with Merpuri Foundation Racing Team looking strong coming out from that pack, Amber Sail 2 got enveloped back into the middle of the group. Now the 100% Portuguese team, with Antonio Fontes as skipper, pushed further south than some of the other VO65s, who were more content to dodge back into that Spanish coast and try and find some respite from the breeze. A little bit of a shift put Wind Whisperer Racing Team back into the lead, and they managed to line themselves up for a nice approach. However, keep your eyes here on Merpuri Foundation Racing Team. What appears to be a navigational error means that they have put the exclusion zone in the wrong place. Certainly, we saw them tacking in and through this no-go area. It's a question for race control and for the jury, and when we find out a little bit more about what the penalty will be, we'll let you know. But for the moment, Wind Whisperer Racing Team outperforming the other VO65s. Whether they're in the lead or behind, though, for all of our sailors on the VO65, coming through that Strait of Gibraltar, a special moment.
Finally crossing Gibraltar. Has been a very rough night, so I can't wait to turn left and hopefully get some diamond sailing in, because this has been a hectic night.
It wasn't just our VO65 sailors that were happy to get the strait behind them. The Amoca fleet very pleased to be out of the worst of the sea state.
So we through the Strait of Gibraltar, and now we still have to deal with some fish farms and shallow spots, traffic, but yeah, we are through the first big landmark of the race.
I don't need it anymore now. Well, fingers crossed, but let's enjoy the moment.
Yes. Meanwhile, as the sun was now up, Team Holson PRB could assess the damage to their mainsail and make their plans.
This morning, daylight, we noticed a tear in the main pretty bad near the area. The only thing we can think of is that it's happened during attack and the jib flopped onto it.
Preparing a patch so that it will glue onto the mainsail, a mainsail that's wet, that's salty, that's flapping around in 40+ knots of wind, and you've got to carry this huge sheet of what is now effectively fly paper. Trying to get this thing to stick on is quite the operation. Now our 5 Amoca teams were out of the Strait of Gibraltar and into the Atlantic Ocean. The decisions became a little bit easier, and the race developed into a drag race with Team Holson PRB and 11th Hour Racing Team both fighting it out for the lead, and their tracks diverging. A bit of a disagreement as to what's the best way to find the fastest path down to Cabo Verde. Team Militia putting on a big surge to hold on to 3rd place and possibly still within reach of the boats ahead. With Biotherm just behind, though, they will be needing to think about some defence and hold on to that 3rd spot. A little way behind, Guyot Environment Team Europe, now with their boat back up to full speed, is reaching hard. And while the speeds of all our boats are quite similar, it's going to come down to who lines themselves up best to exploit the angle in the breeze. Because the next few hours is going to essentially be a drag race and there aren't going to be those large tactical moves playing out quickly, I thought it'd be interesting just to take a look at something that you guys can spot on the tracker, if indeed you want to spend your time looking at the tracker. This is the race control setup. I've been a bit cheeky here and I'm using their data. But these are the paths of Team Holson PRB, Team Militia, Biotherm, Guyot Environment, Team Europe. And just noticing something a little bit strange. This is on that reaching leg after the Strait of Gibraltar, where we are now pointing towards Cabo Verde and blasting our way down. And every so often, all of our boats have done these funny little wiggles. Now on these turns, I think these are sail changes. This is when the teams are having to turn away from the breeze, slow the boat down, they can jump forward, they can adjust some things, they can get back into the safety of the cockpit. And the question is, how quickly can you do that? Because while you're doing this change, you're not going fast in the right direction. Well, each of these dots is 5 minutes. So for Team Holson PRB, it was 5, 10, 15 minutes to do whatever that was. That might have been a sail change. It might be further problems with their rudder systems. Team Militia was 5 minutes, 5 minutes on Biotherm, 10 minutes on Guyot Environment Team Europe. Now, I would have included 11th Hour Racing Team in this graphic, but I haven't spotted any. I don't think that they've actually had to do this. That could be because they haven't changed the sail, or they've stayed in the same consistent breeze, or maybe they're just that quick. But it's a little way that we can tell how well our sailors are finding the right way to attack this racecourse. For our 5 remaining VO65s coming out of the Strait of Gibraltar, it was Wind Whisperer Racing Team in 1st place. To the north of them, Merpuri Foundation Racing Team, setting themselves up to find a nice reaching angle to make their way down to the top, with obviously a question mark hanging over which course they have sailed. Then Team Yayo, at the moment in 3rd place, holding on to the tail of the Polish team just ahead of them. Closer inshore was Austrian Ocean Racing, powered by Team Geneva, and they might find themselves on the right side of a wind shift if they can keep their speed up. A little way behind them though, Amber Sail 2 with a less than perfect line. Few wiggles in their course, meaning potentially some sail changes or some difficulties finding their balance. No matter where anyone was in the VO65 fleet, every sailor was relieved to be out of that sea state and finally enjoying the chance to get the boats ripping.
Oh yeah! Finally! We earned this and now we are here surfing on the waves in the ocean. I have no words, actually.
It's not just the VO65s that have been enjoying the conditions. Now that the Amoccas are free to bear away, they are absolutely tearing. Team Holcim PRB are in the lead at the moment, but they are being chased hard, and everyone's putting in some very impressive speeds, not least Team Milizia.
What's the max speed, Will? I think we've seen 33.7 this morning. And what did you just see now?
Just now 32 points something.
Yeah. Excited? Yeah, we're going hot. Yellow sheet's going, yellow sheet.
If our sailors can hang on in these conditions, then we are set to see some pretty impressive performances. The word in race control is that we might see 500 miles achieved in the next 24 hours. That's not quite breaking the ocean race record, but it does give us a good indication of what these boats are going to be capable of as we continue our race around the world.
Bentley is on a journey of transformation called Beyond 100, with an entirely electric vehicle range by 2030. Such a transformation brings with it the opportunity for a new design language, a revolution of the Bentley design DNA, the start of a new design era and a new generation of the most beautiful Grand Tourers in the world.
With Mulliner, we brought you new Bentley blowers and a return to true coach building with the Baccarat. And now we go a step further with the new ultimate Grand Tourer, the Bentley Mulliner Bator.
Customers of Bentley Mulliner have the most incredible creativity. They want truly unique one-off Bentleys that reflect their individuality and personality.
For the design team, the Bator represents the start of a Bentley design revolution. We are taking the iconic Bentley design cues and reimagining them for the years ahead. The resting B stance is very important. The car sits on its rear axle to give it a certain attitude. It's really powerful, really self-confident, but never aggressive. The endless bonnet line connects the bonnet with the body and stretches the car, makes it really elegant and really beautiful. The upright elegance starts only in the front and then goes over the whole side panel and gives us a really strong and self-confident design. Cleaner and simplified is our new attitude in design. We want to emphasize the powerful and bold surfaces. We've broken up the surfaces, especially in the front, and we have one bone line going all the way through to emphasize a really wide front end. All our brand values are in the core of the Batur. That is our future. We really emphasize everything Bentley stands for.
Mulliner is Bentley's personalisation, bespoke and coach building division. The last 2 years have witnessed the rebirth of Mulliner, with demand soaring for individually created, bespoke Bentleys. The Batur is much more than a successor to the Bacalar. Its exquisite design clothes the most capable Grand Tourer Bentley has ever created, and the most powerful. The word artisan is often overused, but not in this case. This is a car crafted entirely by hand from the ground up, and each one will take months to create. Our Mulliner artisans will craft every detail to the individual customer's specification for a truly bespoke car. And exclusivity is guaranteed, with just 18 Baturs to be built. The Batur will feature the iconic Bentley W12, the engine that's powered the brand for almost 20 years. As it approaches its retirement, we want to celebrate it, and the Batur will use the ultimate iteration of the W12, delivering more power than ever before. All 12 Bacalars were reserved before we even announced the project, because it combined exquisite design with beautiful craftsmanship and the allure of rarity with the thrill of endless personalisation. Batur will offer current and new customers the same proposition, but elevated even further with a bold coupe design unlike anything seen before from Bentley. It's a stunning piece of work by our design team.
At the heart of Mulliner has always been a special promise to each and every customer to design and create a car that is truly individual and tailored to their specifications. Through handcrafted materials and exceptional colours, we bring the extraordinary visions of our customers to life. The only limit is imagination. Every single Batur customer will commission their car through dedicated sessions with our Mulliner designers, who will guide customers through the process of choosing the infinite combinations of material, finish and colour across their car. From the main exterior paint to the surface finish of the air vents and literally everything in between, each customer will specify even the tiniest of details. This was a joyful process with the Bacalar, and the result is a family of 12 cars that are as unique and different as their owners. The use of colour and materiality has been incredibly diverse and shows the breadth of ability of our Mulliner craftspeople. The Batur will be our most significant co-creation project yet, and we cannot wait for the process to begin.
The Batur is the most beautiful Bentley created yet. It's the start of the next step of our Beyond 100 journey.
What I tend to look for when I go to places are things that are visually appealing. When you walk down the sand dunes here in St. Lucia, just thinking of the old shipwrecks or the explorers, the first thing they saw was these long beaches and impenetrable forest. They still look exactly the same. I can't imagine there are many places in the world where you can see tons of things in one day. I want to pinch my arm and say, this can't be true. I'm in the middle of this. I think the uniqueness is that it's diverse. You could peel off layer after layer and you'll find more and more things. It's all here for you to just be part of.
January 20th, 1981. Iran releases 52 Americans taken hostage at the U.S. Embassy in Tehran after 444 days in captivity. It happened just minutes after Ronald Reagan is sworn in as president, succeeding Jimmy Carter in the White House. 1961. In Washington, John F. Kennedy becomes America's 35th president, challenging the country in his inaugural address.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
1942. During World War II, officials in Nazi Germany hold the notorious Wannsee Conference near Berlin. That's where they devise what they call the final solution, their plan to exterminate Europe's millions of Jews. 1936. Start of a turbulent year for Britain's monarchy as Britain's King George V dies. George's son becomes King Edward VIII, but he later gives up the throne to marry an American divorcee, Wallis Simpson. By the end of the year, Edward's brother becomes King George VI, father of the future Queen Elizabeth II. And in 1896...
Well, Gracie, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Comedian George Burns, straight man to wife Gracie on radio, who later played God on the big screen, is born in New York City. Today in history, January 20th. Tim McGuire, The Associated Press.
Welcome back in our studio, and in today's news,